Good evening, friends and family, and thank you for coming to another night with Repair, Restore, and Grow Black Communities Behind Black Business. And our featured guest will not be able to be here tonight, and I will explain that to you a little later. But we are blessed to have two other wonderful people here. Doris Lewis, who is one of our board members, and Pastor Victoria Braden. And they're going to be talking to you tonight about what's going on with immigration here in the Chicago area, which is very important to our business community and our Black community here at large. As you know, we are a nonprofit foundation, and we came together to do something to have an impact on the circulation of dollars in the Black community. And we felt that the best way to do this would be to uplift our businesses. We have over 800 Black owned businesses here in the Chicago area, and that number is growing. More and more people are becoming entrepreneurs, and we need to be on code when it comes to supporting our businesses. Shouldn't even have to think about it. We have people out here selling everything from laundry detergent, shoes. We have wonderful boutiques. You know, we know we have restaurants. We know we have beauty shops, but we have many other businesses out here. We have businesses out here selling water, you name it. And we need to know who these people are, where they are, and we need to be supporting them. And that is why we exist as an organization here at Repair, Restore, and Grow Black Communities. And that's why we bring this podcast to you every week, and where we feature a Black-owned business here in the Chicago area. And so one of the things that we do also is we are great proponents of our Black bookstores, because knowledge is power. And what you know is going to impact what you're going to do. And we know that within our schools, a lot of our history has not been imparted correctly, in full. And there are a lot of perspectives out here. We have a lot of Black authors out here. A number of them have been on our show, and we do encourage them to support our Black bookstores by putting your books in our Black bookstores. Amazon is great, but Amazon takes a great percentage of the profit. And that's something else we have to look at as we become entrepreneurs. And so we used to have 22 Black bookstores in Chicago. It dwindled, and many people do not know we have at least about 9 Black bookstores here in the Chicago area now that we need to be supporting. So we feature a Black bookstore on our website every month. This month is continuing with the Underground bookstore that is located at 1727 East 87th Street. And Brother Yoel is the proprietor, and he has been there for nearly 30 years serving the community. And so we want you to support the Underground bookstore. You can go to undergroundbookstore.com and look at what he has to offer. And we also extend a book giveaway. That's how important we think it is to read. And so every month we give a book away, and we allow the bookstore owner to make a recommendation for the book. So the book that we're giving away this month is a very interesting read here, and it is Our Secret Society, Molly Moon and the Glamour, Money, and Power Behind the Civil Rights Movement. Now, Doris, I know you were a part of the Civil Rights Movement, and I don't know if you remember Molly Moon, but she was the founder of the Urban League Guild. She was a fundraiser extraordinaire. Rubbed shoulders with Langston Hughes, Paul Robeson, Lorraine Hansberry, who wrote the Raisin and the Sun. And she was a powerhouse fundraiser that supported the civil rights movement. So this it definitely presents to be an interesting read. And if you want to win this book, all you have to do is go to rrgbc.org and subscribe. And you can become eligible to win this book. We pay for the book here at our RGBC. We pay for the shipping. However, we do encourage you to go into the bookstore to pick the book up so that you can look at all of the wonderful books that are in the bookstore, and hopefully we'll encourage you to start reading. Also, with the bookstores, we have a public policy that we are working on where we want our local schools and our local libraries to give contracts to our Black bookstores. We're always talking about contracts because that's where the money is going. Who's getting the contracts? And we talk about all these millions and billions of dollars that are being spent in this country with the immigrants and everyone else. You have to ask, who's getting the money? Where are the dollars going? And some of these dollars, if our bookstores could just get 10% of the contracts with the Chicago Public Schools, it would definitely strengthen them, help keep them afloat, and enable them to hire people to work in the bookstore, more people to work in the bookstore, and get this information out to the community. So we ask you to go and sign our petition at Save Black Bookstores Chicago at change.org. That's Save Black Bookstores Chicago at change.org. Sign that petition and help us in our efforts with that. We also are still working on our directory, which we hope to have up soon with all of these Black businesses. We know there are other directories out here, but the more the merrier is how we see it. Also, we support the Southside Community Federal Credit Union. A lot of people know Greg Brown, who is such a warm and friendly person. And the Southside Community Federal Credit Union is a Black-owned institution that has been working here in the Chicago area, providing car loans, providing mortgage loans, providing personal loans, and giving financial literacy classes to our community. And in order for a bank to thrive, what do they need us to do? Open up an account. So you can open up an account at the Southside Community Federal Credit Union and help this wonderful institution who is giving back. And one of the other reasons that we started this business here is because we have so many people in our community that have come to this country and have gotten a leg up in our community and have given nothing back. And that's why this immigration conversation is so important. We know that the United States sees itself as a country of immigrants, and they have brought immigrants into this country to help for different reasons. But we know that there's also a downside to immigration, where they have to put a cap on immigration because of the effect that it has on the citizens, the people who live here. And so Black people, we have really been impacted by immigration. And that's why I wanted to Doris and Pastor Victoria Brady to come on our show tonight, because there's been a lot of conversation going on. There's been a lot of issues that have come up within our city council. And I know that they have been there front and center. And we want to give them an opportunity tonight to talk about what is going on with immigration here in the city of Chicago. So Doris Lewis and Pastor Victoria Brady, I want to thank you for coming tonight to have this discussion. So I would like, I don't know which one of you want to start this conversation, but we want to know what has been going on down in the city council.
Denise, before we start talking about that, I want to just add to what we're doing with our business. And as Denise said earlier, that we started this during COVID because we knew that a lot of Black businesses would go under. And that's why we started this organization. We're financing it ourselves. So I'm saying that to say to the community, there are a lot of things that we can do on our own. And there are a lot of things we're going to have to start doing on our own when you look at the seriousness of this immigration. We don't take any money from anyone. We are independently owned and financed, and we decided to do this because we were trying to get some grants, and some of the people we were working with wanted us to change our language, and we just refused to do it. We're not into diversity, minority, people of color. This is strictly about Black people. So we're financing it our own with 3 board members, and every month we pitch in to keep it going. And we've helped some businesses out. We have set up websites and some businesses that did not have them. We've helped businesses to say, just to stay in business by writing letters to some of our representatives. So we've been quite successful in terms of what we're doing. And I just wanted to point that out. And any little donation we can get, rrgbc.org, anything that you can donate it, because we are independently owned and financed, and we're going to stay that way. Because it's my position that before I take a dollar from anyone who wants me to compromise myself, compromise our beliefs, I would rather let it fold. That's just how serious it is to me. So I just wanted to point that out, Denise. Now, to get on to the subject of immigration. I don't think the Black community really understand how serious this is. We are right back to where we were 100 years ago, 2023. In that order. We are back to where we were 100 years ago. And that is when the freed Blacks of the North and the recently freed Southern enslaved Black ancestors who were coming from the South to go north to find work. And as a result of that, the immigrants, the Italians, the Irishmen who were just coming into this country, they felt so threatened by the freed Blacks and the recently released enslaved Blacks who were going to the North to get jobs, until they literally attacked them. They killed them. It was the draft riot. That was a riot during that time where a lot of Black people were killed as a result of these Irishmen and these Italians attacking them because they were upset about them coming in and getting work, and they thought they were taking the jobs from them. Well, we have never been immigrants. We are the only people in this country who are not immigrants. We are indigenous people. We are the ancestors of enslaved Black men and women. So we're not immigrants. So they were attacked. They were killed out in New York and around the Boston area. And again, that's where we are tonight. These immigrants are coming in here, and let me just say this too. These illegal immigrants who are foreign nationalists could not be in this country if it were not for the plan of the United States government. This starts from Joe Biden on down to Pritzker, on down to Brandon Johnson. And since Brandon Johnson is the mayor of the city of Chicago, who has the authority to end this so-called sanctuary city tonight, tomorrow, if he had the moral courage, if he were a real Black man, because I don't consider him a real Black man. He is hurting Black Chicagoans. He's hurting Chicagoans, period. With all of this money, they're spending $40 million a month. They just, in the budget, they just passed the budget, which gives them an additional $150 million. Now, they had asked for $300 million, but these people voted on this budget that gives him an additional $150 million for illegal immigrants, for foreign nationalists. They are not migrants, because people who migrants are people who go from one city or town to another in their country. Our people were migrants because they migrated from the South to the North. These people are not migrants. They're illegal foreign nationalists. So that's what we've got to call them. They are not asylum seekers. They're not coming in countries where wars are going on.
Now, let me ask a question here. There's a lot of conversation about the immigrants, the migrants that are coming here, but there's never a lot of discussion about why they're bringing them here. I do hear things like we need more people working in the hospitals. We need more people working in hotels and restaurants. And then I've even read that this is a strategy that Biden is using to reduce the illegal entries here into this country. So does this conversation come up about why they're bringing these people here?
The United States is allowing these people to come here is to replace us. Now, Biden's plan, because Biden's numbers are dwindling, they're dropping when it comes to that black vote. So Biden is bringing these people in here. They're giving them permits. They're going to give them driver's license, and then they're going to get voter registration cards. So he's bringing them here to replace that black vote. That's what they're counting on. Them replacing that black vote, replacing us, period. This has happened before. Again, as I said, we are repeating history. So it's primarily the Democratic Party that is doing this to replace the black vote, to replace us. Now, you have 50% unemployment in some parts of Chicago in the black community. So why do you need to go outside and bring and allow illegal immigrants to come into the city of Chicago to fill those jobs when you have 50% unemployment in the black community? It is a lie. It is a plan. It's a scheme by the Democratic Party, and Brandon Johnson is very much a part of implementing this plan that is going to hurt black people. And I'm just going to kind of stop and let Sister Victoria come in and give her part.
Okay.
Thank you, Sister. Yes, I hope you're able to hear me. I look like my computer might be acting a little strange, but I hope you can hear me. Thank you, Sister Denise, for having me on, and Mama Doris. I appreciate both of you. This situation with the illegal immigrants is extremely important. It's extremely concerning. When we think about the fact that this is an economic migration, even though they're illegal immigrants, it's an economic migration. The people of Venezuela are actually fleeing from hyperinflation. Many people are misinformed, thinking that they are fleeing from torture, murder, crime, and different things like that as asylum seekers, when they're not asylum seekers. These people are here for what they consider as a better life, better opportunities. I even heard a clip of a Venezuelan woman in an interview, and the woman clearly said that I want my son, might have been daughter, but I'll just say son. I want my son to be a professional. I want my son to have a better life. She didn't mention anything about I had to get my son to safety. I had to get my family out of danger. It was nothing of that. So I agree with Mama Doris. This is economic. It is about replacing and for me, I'll say our youth and young adults is very concerning. If we even think about the fact that a person from Venezuela can get a job with no background check whatsoever. But the young men and young women in our community, they have to go through a background check. So just that alone will knock our young people out of certain positions. Because how are you going to compete for a job with someone that don't have to go through a background check? But yet you live here, you are a legal citizen, and yet you have to go through a background check. How do we also compete? How do our young people compete with people that are willing to work for far less than the wages that they really are worth, or that they really do? if you have all these immigrants here, illegal immigrants here, and they don't have just a leg up, they're getting a full ladder up. They are getting a full ladder up. And the deck is being stacked against our young people. And I agree with Mama Doris. I don't think that our people in particular, I don't think Black people really understand the magnitude of what is really going on. And in this particular situation, because they are not running from torture or danger or running to a safe place, so to speak, there's no room really for humanitarian compassion and soft-heartedness in this situation. In this particular situation, it's not like what the news and the media is portraying it. And if you notice when you listen to the news stories, how many times have you actually literally heard stories about them running from danger, where they really are actually hitting the point that they're running from torture or the cartel or criminals? You don't hear that. You really don't. It's alluded to, but the reason we don't hear that is because that's not why they're here. They are here for a better life.
That's
And
right.
whenever someone comes into the community, our community, for a better life, and they are set up for success, then that knocks us down the ladder. That automatically knocks us down the rungs of the ladder. And a big concern is how do they stand against that? And I'll make this point. So no jobs. Okay, you're not gonna hire me. Our young people attitude, you're not gonna give me a chance, you're not gonna hire me out of high school, out of college, then I'm gonna do what I have to do. And young people will tell you that themselves. I'm going to do what I have to do. And what that means then is it's more crime. That's more crime in our community because they're not going to starve. They're not going to go without. So
Well,
this is very
And see the other
thing. And not to mention, we don't even know what the street fallout is going to be from the mix of all these people in the city together, competing for the same opportunities, the same pie. One group that is legal citizens against a group that came across many countries to get here illegally. So I just want to, I think I agree. One of the main things as I close my comments is that this is more serious than we can ever even express. And history has shown us what happens when there's an influx of people that are competing for the same thing. We saw it with CHA with the projects. We see it over and over and over again. So thank you for having us on. And we want to educate our people about this because it is important.
And see, one thing I wanted to mention as you talked about that, we know we have the issues with gentrification, and we have, we've seen the what they've done to our educational system, closing our the programs in many of our vocational schools, so that some of our young people, as they're coming out, they're not able to compete. And then there are those who are able to compete. And the guest that was supposed to be on our show tonight are the owners of Dirty Laundry Vibe, which is located in Hyde Park on 53rd Street. 5230 South Harper is where they're located. It was always, for decades, a laundromat. And this Black couple took it over. They created a laundry detergent that is sold in a number of stores, and they decided to bring it into the laundromat. And it's a beautiful laundromat. It's a beautiful community concept that they have in the laundromat. And they opened it up in partnership with University of Chicago. And now University of Chicago is trying to close them. And that is why they didn't come to the show tonight, because they're going to some meetings and they're fighting to keep the laundromat open. So
Here
here's
again,
another Black-owned business on that same street that we fought for, the bookstore that was on 53rd Street, had always been a bookstore that we fought for. Now here we go again with the laundromat.
That is because they do not want us to survive. They do not want us to exist. They don't want us to have businesses or anything else. This is the seriousness, and this is the wickedness of this country, the wickedness of this government. And they're talking about humanitarian. This is no humanitarian crisis. And if it were, we didn't cause it. These people fled their country. They could have stayed in their country, fought their government the way we fight our government here. They chose to come here. And and I don't want people to think that these people walked 3,000 and 4,000 miles. This is being very, very well orchestrated. And in that group, that those who are here and the ones who are coming, they don't talk about the criminals in this group. They don't talk about the prostitutes in this group. They don't talk about the ones who are hooked up with the drug cartel in Mexico and South and Central America. They don't talk about that. They are in our country. That the cartel out of Mexico, they're here. The commander out in the 3rd district said, these people, the cartel is here. These people are committing crime. But the way it's set up, if they arrest them, they've got to let them go. They are accosting our women. They are jumping on our young men. I saw not too long ago, about almost a month ago, I saw 2 of these foreign nationalists, illegal immigrants, attack a young 17-year-old kid, took his phone away from him. We called the police. They never showed up. When you call the police, I live right across the street from the hotel on Lakeshore Drive, where there are probably over 600 over there now. You call the police, they don't come. They're setting up businesses right across from where I live, which is contributing to the value of the property going down. It's illegal. They don't have a permit to do that. They're doing everything and anything that they want to. If we tried to do the same thing, they would lock us up. This is not a humanitarian crisis. These people are not running from anything. They came on their own because the United States government promised them all that they are getting at the expense of us. These aldermen, every last one of them down there, maybe with the exception of 1 or 2, they have sold Black people out. They just voted for $150 million additional dollars for illegal foreign nationalists at the expense of Black men, women, and children in Chicago, and just Chicagoans in general who pay taxes. These people have not paid a dime in taxes. So they have been given the legs up by Joe Biden, the Democratic Party's president, by Pritzker, the governor of the state of Illinois, and by Brandon Johnson, the mayor of the city of Chicago, who is saying that Chicago will always be a welcoming city. Well, Brandon, where in the hell have you been when it comes to going down there at Roosevelt Road and Interstate 290, looking at those brothers and sisters who are living in tents, been living there for the longest, and you're talking about building tents at 115th Street and other places in the city of Chicago? Where in the hell is your humanity for them, Brandon Johnson? You have lied to the people. You played the race card to get elected. We elected you because you were Black. You are Black. And I'm saying to Black people from this day on, do not elect another person because he or she is Black. Because Brandon Johnson is a damn sellout. He's a sellout, and all of the ministers, Reverend Hatch and others, who are taking all this money, and now you're scared to say anything when your people are suffering, your people are getting ready to go through holy hell. Holy hell. And as if anybody knows, I get very passionate, and I will go on record. If Black children are not eating and sleeping and getting a good education, I don't care about anybody else. They closed all these schools in Chicago and ran black people out of the city because when you have children, you're going to go someplace to find a school for them. That was by design. Black aldermen, you all supported that. Jason Irvin, Michelle Harris, Pat Dow, every one of you Negroes who are down in city council, 20 of you. There's no way in hell this could be going on if you were not complicit. 20, you don't need but 6 more. And if you couldn't bring 6 more people onto your side, you don't need to be down there. And this is what they're doing, Denise. This is what they have done.
What happened with the vote? They were supposed to take a vote.
With the referendum, I think it was last week when they were trying to get them to vote for the referendum to be on the ballot so that we can vote up or down for Sanctuary City. 2 times on that particular day, we had a quorum. They could have voted for it. And when Rosa, the one who accosted Emma Mitt, Rosa knew that we had to vote. So what did he do? He went to Jason Irvin and whispered something in his ear. And then this is when Jason Irvin came up with this nonsense about some rule. Well, that was defeated because Alderman Bill pointed out another rule. Alderman Lopez came up with 2 other rules. So that was that. So it was null and void. Null and void. So at that point, this is when Rosa.
Now, what was the rule? What was the rule pertaining to?
Well, the rule was whatever rule Jason Irvin was talking about. They said that there were a couple of other rules that would outrule that rule, and that's when Rosa realized that we had the quorum and I think it would have passed. So what did he do? He goes up to the podium and he takes the gavel out of the woman, the pro tem woman. He takes the gavel out of her hands. And then he turned the lights out. The meeting was not adjourned. They were in a temporary recess. He turned the lights off in the city council. He turned the lights off, and we were all still there. He turned the lights off. But let me back up. Had all those aldermen been in place, and I'm talking particularly the black aldermen, had they been in place when the first meeting that they had was pertaining to the businessmen and the workers getting part-time workers and full-time workers getting extra days off. And so make it long and short of that, when that meeting ended, then all of the aldermen started scattering. I got to go to a meeting. I got to go here and there. Yes, I've got to go to another meeting. Well, they didn't have to go to another meeting. They could have postponed it because they knew that was an important vote. But what did they do? They scattered. And they scattered. So then Lopez at one time told the president pro tem to go behind that wall back there behind the city council. He told her, ask the sergeant at arms to go and tell the aldermen in the back that we're getting ready to take a vote. And so that's when Jason Irvin came in, and soon after that, Emma Mitt came in, and she was looking so flustered. I'm looking right at her when she came in, and I'm wondering what in the world is wrong with her. But I did not know what had happened until Alderman Lopez came out and said that he had to literally put his body between Emma Mitt and Rosa so that she could come into the chamber. So he was trying to block her. Channel 2 did a very good job of showing it. Mm-hmm. But had they all been there, that never would have happened. They could have been there. Michelle Harris and Pat Dow, they were not there. And then we started telling people, call your aldermen, tell them to come to the chambers because they're getting ready to take a vote. So then they call in and said that they would be voting by phone or electronically, whatever they do. But the only reason they did it is because pressure was on them. They were not in that chamber. And I hold them totally responsible because they were elected by the people to represent the people. And I'm talking about black people in these wards. And they were not where they should have been because they had the quorum 2 times. If they had taken a vote, that referendum would have been passed. And so
they have not taken the vote.
if they had taken the vote. We had the quorum.
So they have not taken
No, they haven't done it. That we have shut down city council 3 times because when we were down there, what they were trying to do and were bringing mental health with the referenda, bringing other things. They wanted to lump all of that into that one legislation. And so Alderman Beal and Alderman Lopez fought vigorously to not allow that to happen. They wanted it to be voted on by itself. And so therefore, they still have not voted on it because they don't want it to pass. Because if it passes and it gets on the referendum, if we vote on it in the upcoming election, it's not going to pass. People are going to vote against it, and they know that. But it doesn't even have to get there. Brandon Johnson has the authority to sign an executive order ending sanctuary city. It came about with Harold Washington, but it was it was to say to ICE, we are not going to turn any illegal immigrants or whatever they were calling them at the time. We're not going to turn them over to ICE. That's what that was all about. It was not about any welcoming city. It was to not turn these people over to ICE. They have turned it into something else. They have manipulated. They have compromised the whole thing to the advantage of the Democratic Party and Joe Biden, Pritzker, and Brandon Johnson.
So, Pastor Brady, you had an opportunity to be at any of the council meetings?
I did not attend the council meetings. I was not able to attend those, but I have been updated by Mama Doris and others that had been. But I do want to say that it is very, very, very clear that the interest of the Black community is not being served by the aldermen, the majority of the aldermen. It is very clear that we are no longer represented. And the responsibility of the aldermen is to represent their ward, their borders, and they're not representing even their own borders, yet alone representing the borders of a whole country. We need to understand as Black people that we are not represented downtown city council. We are not.
Now, do we still have a Black caucus? Is there something that exists that is still called a Black caucus?
It's very fractured, very fractured. They're not united down there. If they were united, this could not happen. If they cared about Black people, this could not happen. They are an absolute disgrace. They have sold their people out, along with these two-bit ministers.
And the thing about them being a disgrace is the fact that it's unimaginable how all of this money, all of these resources are pouring in the midst of the things that we're still struggling with in Chicago. We are still struggling. We have people, not only do we have homeless people, as Mama Doris mentioned, sleeping in, we have legal citizens that have been on the CHA waiting list for years, trying to get a decent home or housing for them and their own children. We talk a lot about the Venezuelans, but there are also 30,000 Ukrainians that are here.
Right.
And the 30,000 Ukrainians, they've been fully funded by, well, I don't know if it's fully funded, but they have been sufficiently funded by the federal government. They came with dollars. Dollars followed them to Chicago. So we have 30,000 Ukrainians, approximately 20,000 Venezuelans. There are about 50,000 people that have been put ahead primarily of the Black community. Mm-hmm. And people want us to be quiet and not be upset and not be angry and not speak out. We are not being represented. We are not. And that's something that our people need to understand. The power that they have, the executive orders, and all the tools and mechanisms that are available to the mayor, the aldermen, and the elected officials, all those powers. Imagine all of that power being redirected to someone else.
Well, I'm going to say,
in the midst of us,
I want to say this as the
levels of violence. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Oh,
no,
go
I
ahead,
was just going
Pastor.
to say, in the midst of extreme levels of violence, extreme levels of mental distress, not to mention homelessness, high unemployment, lack of food deserts, health challenges. I could go down the line. And we already talked about the non-existent educational system. Every system. And then we have elected officials that know this. And in fact, the city put out a report in 2021 called The State of Black Chicago. This is something you were asking for sources. This is something you can look up. The State of Black Chicago. And I mean, it is deplorable. The things that the statistics and the things that they talk about in this report. And the thing that when I read the report, the first thing I wanted to know is, okay, what are you going to do about it? So even on record, the city themselves have published documentation of the plight of the Black community. But yet, all of these millions of dollars that have already been spent, being spent, and an additional $150 million for people that are here illegally.
And
yes. What I wanted to point out here, we are
not being properly represented.
Okay, so if we have a Black caucus, that caucus has to have some type of charter that says what their role is, what their responsibilities are to their constituents that they claim to be a Black caucus for. And I think that's something that needs to be looked at. And
you know what, Denise? You know what?
Anything, but that's just one thing. That's just one point that I want to make. And then with all of this going on, and I know a lot of people have come down to the council, and there have been a lot of organizing going on. I do want to ask, what kind of strategies are on the table to push back or to also get the things that we need on the table? What kind of strategies are
the strategy has to be that we have to keep protesting, to keep it out there. We cannot sit back and not do anything. We have to keep it out there. We have to let the public, let the people know this is wrong. My question to the Black community, those of you who know, how can you sit back and not put pressure on your elected official? How can you sit back and allow your minister to support this madness? These people don't care about a charter, Denise. The United States government has broken every law there is to break. They don't care. So the only thing we have going for us is to literally fight back in whatever way we can. Put pressure on these aldermen. Call them. What is wrong with us for us to sit back and allow this to happen to us? I'll tell you why we are allowing it. Because these ministers, we have been conditioned to be in love with everybody's suffering but our own. We're being told. Jonathan, I remember hearing Jonathan Jackson Black people are going to have to be compassionate. Brandon, black people are going to have to be compassionate. Who in the hell is compassionate for us? These ministers, and the way we have been conditioned to think about everybody but ourselves. Well, they're poor. Well, hell, black people are poor. We're poor all over this
And to be
country.
honest, and to be honest with you, that's not even biblical. That's not even biblical. That's not biblical. So that's just some mess, because that's just something that they made up in their own mind. You ought to take care of home first.
And they're not only making
even
that
even from a spiritual perspective, you are supposed to take care of home first. First and foremost.
And the thing,
so
the problem
they can use that as excuse. They can use that as an excuse, but that is not biblical. I just want to bring that in. That's not even sacred teaching.
Okay, so the problem is, like earlier conversations that we've had, we've got the ministers, we got our churches out here, we got our political organizations out here, we have a lot of private organizations out here. You got the Urban League, you got the NAACP. We have all these organizations that are out here, the Chamber of Commerces, and these people have been getting dollars. They have been getting dollars from our government to fund their organizations. And what has been the result? You know,
they are all bought off. We can't even find a black lawyer to represent us. They have all been bought off. That's what I want what black folks in Chicago to understand. You have no representation legally, morally, or otherwise. You're going to have to get up and you're going to have to fight these people. You're going to have to resist these people with every fiber in your body, these elected officials. And it goes up to the Congressional Black Caucus. They have signed on. They have been co-sponsors of legislations that are specifically for immigrants. Black people cannot touch any kind of program that they set up for these people. We can't even get a toothpick. It is set up primarily for these immigrants. So we don't have a choice but to fight back, as we have never had a choice but to fight back. These politicians, and we've got to start organizing to get these people out by any means necessary. Whatever way we can get them out, get them out. So, you know, so there are things that we're planning.
And Miss Denise, there are many of our people that have filed and are filing lawsuits.
That's what I wanted to get to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are a number of lawsuits on the books, on record. But again, everything that they're doing is illegal. So there are legal strategies being put in place, but we're fighting against using the law to fight against things that are being done illegally by those that's supposed to administer the law.
But we haven't had one black lawyer to stand up. One black lawyer. I haven't seen one. Oh, it's a sad situation. It's a bad situation. And believe me, it's going to get worse.
And I see, you know, we have all of this violence out here on the streets, already a result of what is going on. And that our young people don't want to work, and we know that that's not true for everybody. Maybe some people out here don't, but we know that that's not true. This is a spillover of what's going on, and with the police laying down the whole 9 yards.
That 500 over there in the hotel next to me, they're not working. Some of these people are doing some of the same things they were doing wherever they came from, standing on the corner doing nothing. And they want to paint them. They want to paint them as these holy, suffering people. Oh no, they're doing drugs. They're doing all kinds of illegal things. And the United States government has given an order from the top down. You don't touch them. But I tell you one thing that's going on. They're out there in Oak Brook. They're arresting them out there. And I don't blame those people. And we could do the same. Brandon Johnson has failed black Chicagoans. Brandon Johnson has failed black Chicagoans, period. He's a liar. He's a traitor. very deceptive.
And we've been received information that the mayor in Denver is the city of Denver is paying money, asking the migrants that are the illegal migrants that are there or illegal immigrants that are there, where would they like to go? And they are paying. They're literally paying to send them other places. My point in saying that is that there are options. Our mayor and the city officials here are opting to continue this. And to go back to the sanctuary city, we have, many of us have learned about sanctuary city because of this this issue that has come up. And what we know is that being a sanctuary city has nothing to do with passing 150 million additional budgets and giving $9,000 housing vouchers and child care and health care and whatever else that they've been given. That the policy on sanctuary city has no connection to paying the expenses for. It strictly has to do, as Mama Doris mentioned earlier, it strictly had to do with ICE and them not being deported. It's not sanctuary city. Even if that referendum pass or don't pass, we still had the option and have the option to stop the buses from coming in and also to reroute some of these people that are here back to other places. But we're not opting to do that. For whatever reason,
it has to be
to do that.
It has to be because who's getting dollars. When you get a hotel,
back to the love of money, the root of all evil.
When you get a hotel in Evanston, it gets $7 million for housing so many immigrants, opening up a hotel. Who's getting the dollars? That's what it's about.
This is another thing we need to understand. If they get Chicago, that's it. That's it, because they want to get Chicago and they want to get New York. But you can see what's happening in New York. Those people are not having it. Eric Adams, when it first started, we welcome the immigrants. Look at him today. He's trying to do whatever he can to get them out of there. If they get Chicago, that's it. They're going to put them all over America, and black folks will not have any place to live. When they talk about $0 by 2050, it's going to happen before 2050. These people are already advanced. They're way ahead of us financially and economically. If they get Chicago, that's it. And Brandon Johnson and those black aldermen down there, you will have put the nail in the casket for black Chicagoans. These people are dangerous. And black Chicagoans, you better come out and join us when we're fighting back. You better get up and fight back. Because
what are some specific things
tell
people that they need to be doing?
What we're going to do, we're having teach-ins. We had our first one last night. So we're going to start teach-ins just to educate people about this immigration issue. They don't fully understand. So we're going to be doing that. We're going to be.
How can people get the rest of this?
We will put it on Facebook, social media. That's how we've been connecting with the people. So the minute we're planning something for next week, as soon as we get the specifics, we're going to put it out there. And people have been responding. They really have been responding. So we're going to be doing.
Is this a specific organization that is putting this out, or just?
Black citizens. Black Citizens Chicago.
Black Citizens Chicago.
Black Citizens of Chicago.
Citizens working together. And we have a website that is up, but we'll be adding more information. So that's another outlet where people can reach us if they choose to.
What is the website?
Yeah, we definitely are using.
Yeah.
Let me see. Let me get that correct. Black Citizens Chicago. Give me just a quick moment.
because
And
there has to be organization.
I'll look that up while you are
Wait a-
website.
Okay.
Sister Victoria, did she go off?
I'll
Yeah,
look
no,
that up.
she's
Just
not
give me a
gone off.
moment.
She's looking for
But
the
you can
website.
continue.
Yeah, she is looking for
Well,
the
Denise,
website.
the beauty of this is social media. See, we don't have to depend on 257 CNN, MSNBC. Social media has been driving this. Chicago, everybody is watching Chicago, watching what we're doing. And social media, Black social media has been fantastic, because by the time 257 gets it, it's old. So we've been using social media. We've been using different podcasts, and people have been picking it up. And so as we plan, we put it on social media. We're asking people to join us, and people have been responding. The bottom line is that we have to do something, and we can do something. Call your aldermen. Get on your ministers about supporting these aldermen and Brandon Johnson, because what Brandon does, he's not too happy. And what he does, he runs to the Black community to get a pat on the back. And that's what Black ministers are doing when he is destroying his own people. He's destroying the future of our children. Only reason I'm involved in this is because of the children. Our children will not have any future. They're building the state-of-the-art schools in the Spanish-speaking community, and our children are in buildings 150 years old with asbestos and everything else in there. So call your alderman. Tell your minister to stop supporting Brandon Johnson. He is a disgrace.
And that website, thank you to our family that's listening. Got our family members out there listening to us. ChicagoBlackCitizens.com. ChicagoBlackCitizens.com. We will be adding additional information about the teach-ins and other things that we are doing. And like Mama Doris said, the issue, and also Sister Denise says, we know that this is a serious issue, but we are not hopeless. We need people to get involved. We need people to understand overstand what's going on and get involved.
That's right. And everybody has something that they can do.
They can do. Call your alderman.
Everybody, call your alderman, call your state reps, call your congressmen. They're all responsible. And I still say they need to be called out regarding what it is their responsibility is as a Black caucus. Why are you causing yourself a Black caucus other than the color of your skin?
They are a disgrace.
More than that. And I think they need to come forward and see that you're not following the rules. You're not going along with what you're supposed to be doing, apparently.
You don't have to be in an organization.
It has to be addressed.
Make yourself a committee of women.
That's right. That's right.
Make yourself a committee.
I like the idea of teach-ins, because the people need to be educated, about what's going on, how to get things done, how to go to your alderman, how to go to your congressman, how to go to your state rep. How do you fight this?
And Denise, they can go,
but you got to have strategy.
And they can Google the new Americans that Rahm Emanuel put out there, the document. The New Americans. Google that and read it and study it. And
you'll remember when he first put that out. I went on WVON to tell people about this when I saw it. That he had put this in place, and he took some of his playbook from Harold Washington. But of course he took it in another direction. So we are at the top of the hour. But family, we were supposed to have a dirty laundry vibe here, the laundromat in Chicago in Hyde Park. But because they're fighting to stay open, because University of Chicago wants to close them, and I believe put a bar in their place. There's over 65% rental property in Hyde Park. You need a laundromat. And this is a Black-owned business, Black couple. They have a detergent out. They have a wonderful establishment. They have special programs there for the seniors at the laundromat. So they're a community-oriented business. They're not just there with you coming in there to wash your clothes. And so I did give the alderman a call. I asked you all to call the alderman's office and the state rep's office in that area and support this business. You know, this is a young Black couple trying to make it. And here we are dealing with these universities and their contributions to gentrification, whether it's economic or physically, just pushing you out of your space. And so, as you say, Doris, all the time, we do have to stand up and fight.
And you know what? I want people in the 5th Ward to start tomorrow, tonight, organizing to get Desmond Yancey out of that seat. He's a disgrace and he's a disappointment. You look in his ward, the 5th Ward, 65% of the people in his ward are Black. Look at the areas in his ward. It looks like a bomb has been dropped in certain sections of the 5th Ward. And you're down there voting for $150 million for foreign nationalists who are illegals. And you look in the 5th Ward and it looks like a war zone where Black people are living.
And like you said earlier, people need to get involved. You have to get involved. If you don't get involved, you can't say anything about what's going on. We have to get involved. But I want to thank the two of you.
And if you think about your children, grandchildren, great nieces, nephews, cousins, brothers and sisters, you need to get involved. Think about your own family, but also think about the bigger community. This is real. This is real.
Mm-hmm.
And Denise, one last thing. The only reason I'm doing this is because of the children. They won't have a future. They will not.
That's right. And everybody invests in their children. Everybody's investing in their children. And we have to do a much better job. We really do have to do a much better job. But again, I want to thank you for coming. We were having this discussion about immigration and its impact on our community, on our Black communities. And at the end of the day, what we're saying is we have to get involved. We have to fight back and we have to get involved. And we have to become knowledgeable about what's going on. We can't just get up and holler and scream. We got to understand how things work. So I want to thank you, Pastor Victoria Brady, for the work that you're doing.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Absolutely. And Doris, I want to thank you. I'm telling you, there's nobody else out here like you, Doris. She's just always, this isn't a show. This is Doris 24/7. And so I want to thank you for your passion and your efforts. And I don't think it's going to be in vain.
Not if I can help it. Not if I can.
And so we ask you to go to rrgbc.org, where you can view this podcast and all the other podcasts that we have. We ask you to support Black businesses. And we ask you to go to our website where you can donate and help our cause. And also we have an online store where you can purchase that will help our efforts as well. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you, Denise, for the great job you do.
All right.
Thank you. God bless everyone.
All right.
Love and peace.
Thank you.